So in decision making, there are stages. I would distinguish at least data collection and data processing. And it is a very good idea to clearly see how do you collect data, how do you process.
In data management, people look at the data lifecycle, somewhat similar to what you're talking about, and they look at quality of data across that lifecycle. Right. So you capture data, you process data, you store data, you might publish it, or you might use it, right? And you ultimately have to destroy it, or it gets destroyed.
Maybe.
Right. And then across that life cycle, you'd have dimensions of quality, and there are different things that you would do to keep the quality of your data high. And high quality is actually specific. What's high? There's no platonic high. It depends on the use case. The high quality of data for one purpose, exactly the same data is low quality for another purpose.
Very core philosophical problems apart from freedom of will versus determinism. It is if there is a reality or singular truth, or there is not, and everybody had their own truth, and there is nothing apart from opinions and such. I think you heard it. There is nothing, just opinions. There is no truth. Even if we believe that we live in simulation, it's still better to believe there is a singular truth, which is complex enough so that we see different aspects of it, different sides of it. And that's why it looks different for different people, for example, right? Also based on our filters, also based on our ability to perceive and such. But the truth is singular, and this is a belief which is just useful, because even if we live in simulation, even if there is no reality, it's better to believe that there is a singular objective reality, which we explore by science and by direct observation. I mean, direct subjective observation.
I think what you're talking about is essentially objectivism. So the belief that there is a single version of truth, we can use instruments. We need to trust instruments, or we need to be aware, possibly, of the instrument's faults, but we still proceed with the belief of the single reality, and we base our decisions.
Because if not, nothing makes sense. How will you decide? And what is a decision?
So we sort of started with, well, people talk about knowledge, information, data. What is it?
Yeah.
And well, there's all these different definitions. There's these disciplines that developed in parallel. There's different ways to think about it. But ultimately, what we're getting to is we use some symbols, some labels, some pointers, right, to make sense of the world. We make decisions. We need to be aware of the quality of these signs or these pointers to make good decisions. I think that's kind of what we're saying, isn't it?
The only thing here is good. So what is good? It can be ethical good. It can be good in terms of benefit, seeking benefits, trying to reduce losses, right? Or it can be good in a way of moral satisfaction or emotional satisfaction. So good decision requires understanding what is good for particular agent, particular player, for particular decision maker.
But ultimately, what's of value to that?
Yeah, and this depends on their, like, the road they take. Yeah. And the road they take has priorities, values, goals, such. This is the art of decision making. You need to, when you do decide, accept both groups of consequences. Those you were aware of and those you were not aware of.
You were talking about seeking information to make a decision. To bring
Yeah.
in another context
Yeah.
is information seeking behavior, right? So in library and information science, one of the things that people study is information retrieval, information seeking behavior, right? And that's probably something we'll need to touch on. You know, when you make a decision, how do you seek information?
Yeah, this is a very good question.
What biases you can encounter there, right?
Confirmation bias
Confirmation
is
bias.
the first, yeah.
It would be interesting to look at, I suppose, information quality, data quality from that angle as well.
First is just not use methods of data processing, data collection, which increases the bias. Sure, it increases the bias. For example, writing out pros and cons of the alternatives. Very unmeasurable. This is subject to confirmation bias. Also, just be aware of cognitive biases. There are lists of cognitive biases. You can just seek it online, and you can just check yourself, your teammates. You can try to invite external facilitator or coach to help you with that, or you can use decision assistance software, decision support systems like mine. You can use any tool to make your process more transparent, more traceable.
If we're thinking about the risk generally, right, and if we think about all these, all these stages of data life cycle from collection to disposal, if we think about quality of that data, really what you're talking about is decision making as a data processing step, right, where we have
it's a
some
process, not
freedom.
Where
we have some freedom to pick certain pieces of information, where we have freedom to do it in a certain way. And I think similar to what we're doing with data quality elsewhere, we look at the stage, say capture, right? We look at the accuracy. Okay, well, there is a risk that what we're capturing is inaccurate because maybe we're not asking right questions, or
inaccurate.
maybe a timeliness issue. We're not processing something quickly enough, right? And we typically put controls around certain processes. What standards do we need to stick to? What is it that we should or should not do? And I think what you're saying is it's kind of the same thing with decision making as a processing step. We need to make sure that we try as much as we can eliminate say confirmation biases and how we pick information sources. We need to take certain other steps to eliminate other biases. It's kind of the same idea of what are the risks, what are the kind of controls related to decision making that we need to put in place, isn't it?
Actually, we talk about similar things with different terms. For example, you say inaccuracy, I say illusion. If it's very inaccurate, this is illusion, this is not true. There are tools to eliminate as much as possible the biases or the illusions. Those are just being aware of biases we're all suffering from as humans. This is okay. Logics, to check our thoughts, to check statements, which helps us with consistency, that we do not have contradictions, or maybe we allow contradictions depending on the nature of the data, but we should be very aware of it.